Hello guys, welcome back. I'm David Anirubi, the Webflow guy, and today we will talk about client first and why you need to get started. Recently, I just found out that most companies and Webflow agencies, they are not just looking for Webflow developers, they are looking for client first developers. So if there's any piece of advice I would have for those that are just getting started is, as you're learning Webflow, please try as much as you can to be learning client first on the side. This is very important. Like, it's very important, okay? Let me show you something. All right, so this is it. So this is flowremote.io. This is a Webflow, job site where you get to search for Webflow jobs. So I came across this particular one here. I've been seeing it off and on, but then this one really caught my attention. I said, okay, I'm gonna make a video on this. So this is Webflow Developer Client First version 2. What does this tell you? You need to learn Webflow. Not just learning Webflow, you also need to learn client first, because at the end of the day, client first is going to be an added advantage to you because it's going to help you build better Webflow sites. It's going to help your website generally. Okay, so like I said, companies are not just looking for Webflow developers, because you're going to submit your website. They're going to see how you built that site using Webflow. What strategy did you use? How did you come up with this and that and this and that? So yes, so this is one reason why you need to learn client first. So I've been on this client first thing for a while now. So what exactly is client first? What is it about? Why should you care? I mean, you should care. You know why? Because it's for your own good. And what does this even mean? Let's have a look at their website and see what you can actually use client first for. So you go to finsweet.com/client first. So this is it. This is like their landing page. So to have a full understanding of what it is, you want to click on learn client first with docs. It takes you to their documentation page and you'd read their documentation page. It's just a 9-minute read. It's not that much. Just go through it and you'll have a full understanding of how you can get started. So client first helps us develop organized websites in Webflow. For starters, it is a naming strategy. Now, assuming we want to build out this landing page, let's be practical now and let me show you how you can get started. Let's say you want to build out Split.Africa, this landing page. How do you go about it? The first thing you want to do is to get the clonable from this finsweet.com/client first. You get the clonable, you click on it here, and it takes you to the next page, and you clone it in Webflow. All right, it opens up in your Webflow account. Okay, it opens up in your Webflow account. Just wait for it. Okay, click on here, create site. Now you can name it whatever you wish to name it. Let's just say split redesign, for instance. You say create site, and after that you wait for it to load. Remember, this is what we're trying to build. Yeah, we're trying to just create this simple homepage landing hero section. Okay, this simple hero section. So let me show you how you can go about it. Okay, it has opened up in Webflow. So this is it, Webflow version 2 client first official starter project. Okay, so this is how it's gonna have this inbuilt classes. Okay, so this is just the starter page. So what you want to do, you want to delete this home message component. Just delete this entire starter page. You don't need it for anything. All right, so what you have here is the page wrapper and main wrapper. See these global styles, just leave it as it is. It's like the default style created by client first, created by Finsweet. Leave it as it is. Your major concern now is main wrapper. Okay, so on this main wrapper, but then before you do any other thing, you want to go to pages and click on style guide. All right, you want to click on style guide. Now this is a style guide where you get to see all the styles and classes and everything, all the classes and just basically classes for everything that you would need. All right, there is a container small, there's a container medium, there's a container large, there's a padding global. These are the things you have to learn when you go through client first documentation. All right, you will understand what all these terminologies are. Container large, padding global, padding section small, padding section large, padding section medium. what they are for and what they do. So this is why it's necessary to go through their documentation. All right, this is very important. So there's a whole lot going on here. Now we have the H1, which is the heading 1, we have the heading 2, we have the heading 3, we have the heading 4 down to heading 6. Okay, this is for the headings. Other HTML tags, we have the paragraphs, we have links, we have quotes, we have ordered lists. You know, there's a whole lot of style guide here. This is good. It's for you. It's for you to use. Now, based on the particular project that you're working on, you have to come here and try to edit this style guide to fit that particular project you're working on. For instance, now on looking on this Pixel Africa, you would see that this is their H1. All right, this is what you're going to do. H1. How do you know the exact size they used in their H1? For me, I have a plugin here known as What Font. What Font helps me to know what exact font a particular website is using, and also to know the size and the weight of the font. So if I click on it, it brings out these details. The name of the font is Cerebri Sans and 900. That means the weight is 900. The font size is what? 48 pixels. Now this one is also the paragraph. If you click on it, it says Cerebri Sans 400. The size is 18. So what we know that our H1 is 48 and our paragraph text is 18. The color here is white and all. So what we want to do, we want to go back to the style guide, scroll down to H1, scroll down to H1. This is H1. Remember from what we saw earlier, our H1 is 48. Now, client first makes use of rems, all right? That is root ems. From my last video, I explained why you should use rems and not pixels for your Webflow build. So you want to go check out my last video on rems basically. So H1, so you click on H1 here from the style guide. Now you will come to this style selector here, click on it, and you will go to all H1 headings. You know why? Because if you change it directly from here, we have 4 rems here, you know, but then what we saw here is not 4 rems. What we saw here is 48. All right, what we saw here is 48. So how do you now convert, you know, this H1 to 48? All you need to do, remember I told you, you click on here, come to all H1 headings. That means anything H1 is going to be, you know, whatever value we put here. Anything H1 is going to be whatever value we put here. All right, so moving on, you click on all H1 headings. Now we have the size as 4 rems. So what you're going to do is to type in 48. Remember, they have theirs in rems. All right, now for you to convert from pixels to rem, you're just going to type in the value in pixels, which is 48, divided by 16 rem. You click on it. So 48 pixels means 3 rems. 48 pixels means 3 rems. All right, how did I do it again? 48 divided by 16 gives you the rem value. So our H1 is now 3 rem, which is equivalent to what? 48 pixels. Now our H2, how do we now know what our H2 is? Let me exit Word Font. Because we're trying to just build out just the hero section, we don't need H2 and all what have you. All right, so our paragraph is, from what we saw earlier, our paragraph is 18. Okay, paragraph is 18 pixels. So you have to like scroll down to where we have all paragraphs. All right, by default paragraph is what? 16, which is 1 rem, which is equivalent of 16 pixels. So you don't even have to worry, because we have other classes that handles the styling of paragraphs. All right, when you scroll down even more, you would see text sizes: text size large, text size medium, text size regular. So these are classes that have been created for you to use, you know, instead of you creating classes unreasonably for yourself. You can just call the text size large. Text size large is 1.5 rem. Text size medium is 1.25 rem. I think 1.25 is equivalent of 18 pixels. So what we're going to do is call on text size medium as the class that we would use to, you know, achieve this. All right, so moving on, What else do we have here? We have this search box here. How do we achieve that? Would know in Webflow. Okay, let's jump right into it. I think that's all. That's all we need to know for now. Now we have this button here. This is part of the navigation, which I don't think we should bother ourselves with that. I just want to build this out and the black background. So you just get to see how client first works basically. Okay. So mind you, on client first landing page or their documentation page, there's something known as the core structure. Let me click on it. Now this is client first core structure strategy. Now this client first core structure simply means before you even use client first, there is a structure you have to follow. You don't just build anyhow. It's more like setting up the foundation for your website. All right, which means your page should follow this strategy: page wrapper, main wrapper, section identifier, padding global, container size, padding section. Now looking at it here, you have it here as a screenshot: page wrapper, main wrapper, section, this, that. Let's jump right into it so you get to understand what I'm talking about. So move now to your home. Now we are on our home. Let me open up now we have the structure here. We have page wrapper and main wrapper. What you want to call it next is simple. Click on your add elements and add a div block. All right, add a div block. So inside your main wrapper, we have a div block. Now this div block is what we are going to call section hero. Let's say, for instance, we are building out the hero section. We are trying to build out the hero section. So we'll say section underscore hero or home hero. Okay, see, this is the structure we're using: section underscore home hero. This means this section underscore. Once you go through the documentation page, you understand when you need to use underscore and when you need to use dash. All right, so moving on, that is that about that. Now you want to say bring in another div block. Now mind you, this is a section, right? This is a section, so you want to go to settings here and tag this. Change the tag from div to section. This is very important. Please always do this. It's very important for SEO. All right, so the next thing you want to do now is to go to your add panel, HTML, add another div block inside of it. Now we're going to call this div block. Because we have all of these classes inside of the style guide, all you need to do is just be calling it from the style guide. Now, given the structure we have here, after main wrapper, we've said section identifier, which is home hero. All right, now the next thing we want to do is padding global. Now you see here, call that div block padding global. All right, now this padding global is a class. Now we are building out the foundation. All right, we are building out the foundation of this website. Now this padding global, all it does is it adds 2.5 rem to the right and 2.5 rem to the left and right padding. Right, now the next thing you want to do now is to also add another div block. Adding another div block, we're going to call this one container. Now as you're typing in the class name, it's going to bring it out for you like this. So all you need to do is just to choose container large, or is it container medium or container small. If you click on container large, what it does is it gives it a maximum width of 80 rem. All right, and it sets it to be in the middle. This container large contains all your elements at the center with a max width of 80 rem. All right, 80 rem is equivalent to about 1000, maybe 1200 pixels or thereabouts. It simply means it's going to help you align or center all your content. All right, that's the work of container large. Now the next thing you want to do is bring in another div block. I use div block. Client first uses div block for their section and everything. All right, they don't make use of section like this section here. Nah, everything is div blocks. All right, so after that, now you want to add another div block, which I've done, and this one would say padding section Now, this padding section large or padding section medium or padding section small helps you to create top and bottom padding. All right, it adds a top padding and also a bottom padding to your div block. So what does this do? Let's assume we are using padding section medium. You can't really see what's going on here because we've not started adding actual content, like text or paragraphs or headings and the likes. So padding section medium. Now this is the part where these are the core structure. This is what we mean by the core structure. You've set up the foundation. All right, you've set up the foundation. Okay, so moving on. Now we have added padding section size. So this is it, padding section. I used medium. Remember, we're trying to achieve this. All right, so let's go. Now we have a black background here, black background. So what you want to do is, for the black background, you would say section home hero. You click on section home hero because that's the section that houses the entire home hero section. All right, so now you go down to background, you click on the color and you say black. Okay, now this section hero section home hero, you also, what I'll do, for me, I would want to make this my hero section 100 viewport height. That means this hero section here, I want it to cover the entire 100 viewport height. So how do I do that? I would say section home hero, I want to add a minimum height of 100 VH. Boom. See, 100 VH simply means 100 viewport height. That means the entire viewport is set to what? 100 VH. Okay, now we have the black. Now what we need to do, on clicking on padding section medium, now let's look at the website again. We have this here, the H1, and we have this content here. Before we get to this, you want to add another div block. All right, add another div block, add it inside the padding section medium. Now what do we call this div block? With client first, you won't have problems naming your div blocks. All right, everything is there for you to just understand and you make use of. Now what you want to do is you want to say, since we already have home hero, you're going to roll by this home hero. Whatever you're naming your div block would have home hero as the initial, right? Like I always say, if you understand client first from their documentation, you won't have issues naming your div block. Let me just jump right into it. Home hero underscore components. Let's say home hero underscore content. So this is the content for our home hero. Now this is where you now start adding your heading inside of it. So we now have inside of home hero content, we have the heading, and inside of it again, we have the paragraphs. All right. Now on the maybe section home hero, you want to go set the color, the typographic color to white. All right. You want to set that to white so that the heading and the paragraph that you've just added would inherit the color, the typographic color from the section home hero. There are so many ways you can change the colors, but this is just one of them. All right. So what else? So we now have the heading and the paragraphs. So on clicking here, you want to copy this, copy it here, and come paste it here. All right. You want to also come here and copy this here, and you come paste it here. Paste it here. So this is not looking really good as this. That's easy to solve. Now what we need to do is, from this home hero content, all you need to do is to maybe make it a flex box. So you click on this flex box, vertical, and maybe add a spacing in between, spacing here, spacing in between the heading and the paragraph. You want to come here and say maybe 1.5 rem in between, and you want to add a minimum width to it because this is actually in the center. Let's say a minimum width of about, so you want to give your home hero content a maybe minimum width of 50 rem. Let's say 50 rem, let's say 40 rem. Sorry, I mean a maximum width of like 40 rem or thereabout. 40 rem. all right? After which you want to also, you know, what is it called? You want to center the elements, center your home hero. By clicking here, it's now at the center, all right? You want to also align them, align the contents to the center as well. So we now have this and we now have this perfectly at the center. If you go to your preview here, you will see what we have. But then what we have, you will notice that it is all aligned to the top. It's all squashed to the top. You don't want that, all right? You want it to be in the middle. And also, this paragraph is 18 pixels. That's like 1.25 rem. What you want to do is click on the paragraph and call on the class name. Just say text size medium, all right? Text size medium. That means this our paragraph is now text size medium. That's the name of the paragraph. That's the name of the class. And it's going to have 1.25 rem because all these things has been set up in the style guide, all right? Don't need to worry about it too much. Now, to make this entire element to be at the center, you want to go to your home hero section. This is the, you know, the parents, and you want to do what? You want to apply flexbox, center, align at the middle. All right, this is what you want to do. So by me looking at it, we have this and we have this all looking good at the center. Now, let's just do one last thing. See this rent that has a different color. How do you now go about it? It's very simple, all right? It's just a gradient of 2 colors, okay? Now what do? You double click and you highlight your rent and you say wrap with span. Wrap with span. You click on it, you can just give it a class name, say colored or gradient, just say gradient. Say gradient, gradient heading, or whatever you want to name it with. Now what you need to do is to how can this be achieved? Okay, you would say image and gradient, all right? You click on here and you go to linear gradient, all right? You choose your first color, maybe something around this blue, all right? Choose your second color, maybe something around this green, all right? Now the next thing you want to do is to clip it, this clip in here, click on it and you say clip background to text. Boom, now we have that rent. That simple. All right, so we have it here and we have this here. All we need to do is just to build out this other one here, which I don't think I would. The video is getting kind of lengthy and I was hoping it was going to be pretty short. So yes, that is how you can actually get started with Client First. Understand the documentation and understand the course structure, and every other thing will just align, and boom, that is all. So I hope this was really useful to you. If this video was useful, please give it a thumbs up, like and share, and also don't forget to subscribe for my more videos. I will be explaining more concepts and more stuff pertaining Webflow, Client First, and how you can get better in Webflow. All right, so see you guys in my next video. Thank you. I'll be in touch. Bye.